legends where magic meets the heart. Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Dungeon Dragons Flow, got the word. In the world of EVA we play.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Commander's Pod. I'm your pod father, Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
And I'm Jeff.
And today we're going to talk about how the game is changing. I think it's subtle, and I don't think people are catching on to how things fit together and how it's changing. And it's changing different from how you might think as well. Some people have been saying it's powering up, and I'm believing the opposite. So we'll get into that. We're going to talk to Aggro Jeff. We're going to talk about the new Secret Lair issues, the SpongeBob release, and the issues that they had with that. It makes Marvel look almost tame in comparison.
Yeah, because we're recording right after it.
Yeah, it happened today for us. So some of the details we're not going to have because that's not going to come out till later. But anyway, Jeff and I are going to talk about a new player we met, like brand new. We'll have some pro tips, and yeah. So let's talk about that new player, Jeff. So you and I went to the shop, and so another Jeff at the shop. I mean, he's on a great roll. It's like 4 times this year so far.
Yeah,
absolutely.
4 times more than last year, I think.
Yeah. So, and at the time we were playing, we had just started our first game, I believe, and it was myself, him, and Darren.
Yeah.
And we were playing. He was playing his new zombie deck. I was playing my blue draw deck that I just built. Mm-hmm. And Darren was playing
Landfall.
But all of them were pretty well matched.
Yeah, the Landfall was pretty powerful.
It was powerful, but I mean, there was no...
It wasn't a 4. It was probably an upper 3, because Landfall's always good.
Technically,
I don't think you can build
it was a 2.
Landfall
There were no
bad.
game changers.
Well, no, but it's Landfall. It's like by the design of the deck, it's probably a 3 because it was well built.
And
it was
while
optimized.
we're on that subject, one thing I did want to say offhand, I don't think that you can make stacks of 1 or a 2.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. So there's certain anyway.
Bryce and I literally had that conversation that day while we were playing.
Yeah, I think they need to build that into the tiers.
Which he disagreed with me, and he knows the game. But one thing I did notice at the game shop, I know we're going to talk about the new player we met, but Bryce knows the game really well.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
he
there
knows
are guys out there that
really
know these games really well, and he just really knows it well. So well done, Bryce.
Him and Andrew are the 2 that know the most of the rules in that shop for sure. And he was never even a judge. He just did this on his own. But anyway, the 3 of us were playing. On paper in the tier system, they were evenly matched, but that Landfall deck was very good. Well, he also got the perfect hand that game. So it was our second game, actually, when she came, because he wiped the floor with us that first game.
Well, also, you rightly, I guess, targeted me with a new zombie deck and left the Landfall. Or no, that was later on, because you left both the Landfall and Enchantment deck alone.
Yeah, but it's huge, and the new player even agreed that was the right move.
Unbelievable.
But anyway, so we're playing, and this young lady comes up to us and says, "Do you mind if I watch you guys play?" And we had just started. Like I said, I think it was our second game. Mm-hmm. It was like turn 2.
Which good on her for going up and meeting people. That can be scary. Yeah.
For sure. And we said, well, would you like to play? And she goes, yeah, if you don't mind. And she was willing to wait, but since we had just started, we talked about maybe ramping her up, getting her caught up. And I'm like, well, she's new. Let's actually let her start from the beginning. You know? She said she had played with some friends and relatives, but never had been in a shop. So she had a pre-con. First thing
she had played some online too.
Yes, she did some on Arena, but you can't really play Commander on Arena.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, not yet.
But the first thing we had to do was get her some sleeves and tell her, please don't riffle shuffle your cards. So
she went to do this with her cards.
Yeah,
and I said,
she was already.
Please, I can put up with a lot of stuff, but don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, cards. Maybe she doesn't realize how much value they can have. I mean, no. She was playing the enchantment deck from
the Commander deck.
Yeah.
When was it? I don't know when it was from.
It's the same one that Darren plays. It wasn't from that long ago, but it was from a little while ago.
It was good though.
Yeah, it was good.
And you don't know unless you know. Like we think, well, why would you not have card sleeves? Why don't you know how to? We didn't know how to do that stuff either when we started.
When I first started playing again, like back when I played back in Unlimited, it was and revised. It was not a thing to do sleeves.
No, and if you watch the original tournaments of Magic, they didn't use sleeves.
No,
was wild. I just saw it the other day. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
not being in a shop, she didn't know. So we had to get herself with sleeves and a play mat. So we gifted
Which
her
we
those.
did, at no charge.
Yep, gifted her those.
And gave her Swiftfoot boots.
Yep.
Well. That's
Oh,
weird.
We'll get to that. Remind me, we need to talk
I only
about the
gave her
survey.
that. I only gave her that because I happened to have one. In my, I didn't have my
Just saying.
trading
Just
trading
saying.
cards.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, we'll talk about the remind me
saying.
after this, right after this, after I grow Jeff, we'll talk about the update on the top 10, the
Right,
10
because we had to vote.
cards that define the format.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Swiftfoot was one of the candidates for the last card. But anyway, yeah, you gave her Swiftfoot to put in there because she said she hadn't upgraded it at all. And we said, well, Jeff was like, real quick, you can cut this in. So we played and we helped her out a little bit at first and kind of, and like Jeff said, I was kind of focusing on him because I've seen those zombie decks go off. And
we were very nice.
Yeah, we were very nice. But by the same token, after a while, now Darren was a problem.
Yes.
And by that-
Although you
problem.
didn't act like
You're
it.
a real problem.
yeah.
You didn't act like he was a problem.
At the
you
time,
acted like I was a problem.
I didn't act like it. He wasn't. And then the moment I countered your Commander Temet, and I took my turn and passed, is the turn that he went off.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but she was able to deal with him quite a bit. She removed a couple pieces, and we ran around. He started doing it again.
Yeah.
We interacted with
Because
him
Landfall
some.
can rebuild really quick, which he did multiple times.
Yeah.
And she, like I said, she dealt with some stuff. We dealt with some stuff. But then she started getting her engine going and her stuff going. She took him out of the game pretty handily.
Yeah, because it's an enchantment Voltron deck though, so it's auras and it just builds up, and then you hit someone for like 27.
Right. Did she take him out first or you? It was him first, right?
Yeah, you didn't have to take me out. I didn't have anything. You kept destroying everything.
I wasn't.
Because I was the problem.
I countered your commander.
Hey, in respect to no, you did more than that. In respect to Lizard, though, although I didn't tell him that his assessment was in his rear end, I did tell him he was definitely missing his assessment. He was incorrectly assessing the board.
It was fine when I did it, but the moment after I did it, I wished I had it back. But anyway, it was Jeff, so it was okay, and everybody agreed.
It was fair. I get it.
Everybody but Jeff agreed that it was a good move.
No, I agree. I understand.
But anyway, she took out Darren, then she took out Jeff, and then me. I mean, it was just she.
Yeah, and you had no chance.
Bruna
No.
does that really well. Bruna, is that who her commander was? The blue-white
No.
angel?
No, it's not that one. It was a more recent white-green enchantment deck.
Yeah. Which,
Um,
white green enchantment.
Is
I
that
wanna
the
say
one
Wilds
that
of
you have a
Eldraine.
commander?
No, it's a different
I
one.
wanna say it
because
was
this is a
different white thing.
Voltron one. It's designed to do auras and just get real big.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to say it was Wilds of Eldraine is what it said it was from.
Not when we went back the first time.
Yeah, no, the second time.
The second time.
Yeah. Which one was first, Wilds or Throne? I thought Throne was first, Wilds was second. I don't know.
I
Anyway,
thought it was the other one.
the second Eldraine.
Whatever.
Anyway. But anyway,
cares?
so we were just talking to her and kind of pointing out the sharks in the room and don't sit at that table till you have more practice. And,
Right.
she didn't get to finish the second game. She was in town visiting family and they were all going out to dinner, so she had the scoop. But she did,
Yeah,
she
and
did want to take out one more piece of Darren's before she went. We said, just like, no, you should probably just go if you're
Yeah,
going to
because that's not fair. It would have helped you and I
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure, but it just didn't seem fair
Yeah.
if you're already leaving to like hit someone on the way out. But it was funny. She had not had enough of killing people yet. She was just getting one more hit in.
she had the taste
Yeah.
of blood in her mouth and was
Yeah.
ready to go. But yep. So when she got up, then we played with Bryce a bit, and we had some good games. Funny enough, though, Jeff and I, neither of us won a single game.
No, I lost every
No.
game.
Me
It was
too.
rough.
Yeah.
The commander pod
Yeah,
streak
and
ends.
multiple of the games, Duncan and I just killed each other when we shouldn't have. We 100%. And I was just like, all right. They kept being like, Duncan was like, Jeff, you can attack someone. I was like, no, you destroyed my thing, so I'm gonna attack.
That was
you.
that same game, by the way, with
Yeah,
Darren.
but we
Oh,
did
man.
it most of the night. We destroyed
I
each other's
just-
stuff when we should have destroyed their stuff.
Well, maybe.
Some of it.
It was still fun. I had a fun time. I thought it was a fun night.
It was a great
It was
night.
nice running into a new player. Good on her for coming out into the wild and playing. She didn't bring a friend. She didn't know anybody there.
Right.
So very, very cool. She visits occasionally, so maybe we'll see her again.
Very nice.
But yep, that was cool. So Aggro Jeff, what's aggravating you?
Okay. So I go to the
Spa.
7-Eleven
Oh, that's
to
cool.
get my energy drink, right? Because it's just like, halfway through the day, you're like, it's a Monday, need an energy drink. So I go to get my energy drink, right? But I go up to the front, and of course, one energy drink turns into 6 because they're, buy 2 for a certain price. So it's like, well, then I need 6. Because I come in and I teach in the morning in our company, and it's
But
always
not
good to have
math,
an energy
apparently.
drink.
Yeah.
So I got 6, and I go up to the front, but they're not ringing up right. So a lady comes from the back, and this lady who comes from the back, she appears out of the darkness up to the register, okay, set up. I'm thinking I'm going to get help, and she's ready to help. But when she grabs my Monster Energy drinks, she puts her big paws right on the top of the energy drink where your mouth goes and just grips it the entire time. And the entire time, as you can imagine, you guys know, I'm thinking, this is disgusting. Why are you doing this? Get your hands off of my drink. Just grab the side of it like a normal person. Don't manhandle the top of my drink. So, needless to say, I had my Monster Energy drink manhandled by a lady, funny enough. And that's really aggravating me because I had to come back here, and then I had to clean off the top of the drink. No good.
So to summarize, our Lord Jeff is upset because a peasant put their fingers on his beverage can.
It doesn't matter if she was a king or a queen or
Full
anything else.
disclosure, I
Don't-
grab them from the top. I very
disgusting.
rarely grab
You're
them from the side.
You're just
His drinks are in the
You're
fridge
just
right
a
over there.
troglodyte.
No, his
Only
drinks,
a troglodyte does
his
that.
drinks are in the fridge right over there. I think in the morning before he gets here, I'm going to go and lick all the tops.
Do it. Please do. That would make me so
I'm
happy.
going to give those away then. I'm very worried about this. It's disgusting.
I grab them from the top because you put your fingers around them. So you grab them from the top like this.
Yeah, but
and
do you
pick 'em
put
up.
your palm down on the place someone's mouth is going to go?
Yeah, if I got to pick up 4
Oh,
of them, I put them down. I
gross.
go like this.
No.
I'm sure she washed her
Do
hands.
you also
after she-
wear
oh, maybe
flip flops
not.
on airplanes or take your shoes off?
I bet. You know what?
No.
She may have
Okay.
been using the bathroom, and because she got called to the
Ah.
front, she didn't have a chance to wash her hands. She
could've
probably
been
had
it.
to rush right
Now
up.
I'm more
That's your
aggravated.
fault.
She did look like she just went to the bathroom. She had that look like, I didn't wash my hands.
All right. So, folks, we apologize for Jeff.
We brought up the fact that he kept talking about magic and we scared him off of it. We
Yeah.
shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, we should have.
That's on
pretended-
us.
Just
We
pretended like
apologize.
nothing happened.
We apologize.
I do take joy in the fact that it's not a magic thing.
So, but I'm curious now. You brought it up.
Okay.
What happened with the vote?
You're not gonna be happy. Not a single person voted for Swiftfoot boots.
They went risk it.
They went Ristic.
Yeah,
That's-
of course.
It's fine. Say
100%.
what you want, but he gave her Swiftfoot boots, not Ristic Study. That's
Well,
all my
I would
point.
give somebody Ristic Study last over Swiftfoot boots myself. There's
No
a
offense.
bit
I'm
of
not
a-
giving anybody a Ristic Study.
Yeah.
Just
No
saying.
way.
Yep.
There's
and the
plenty
shop
of cards.
gave her a proxy smothering tithe, but we warned her. She didn't know about the game changers, but we warned her about that. But yeah, nobody voted for Swiftfoot. A couple people had some write-in votes that they thought, but it was cards.
Well, I did think of one after actually, I thought of 2 things. So one of the ones I thought of was Solemn Simulacrum, Sad Robot. How do we not think of that one?
That's a good
That one bumps, in my opinion, that should take the 10th spot because Sad Robot is so iconic for it's like everything. It's almost like Steve. Like you just almost always, if you're playing green, you put Steve in.
Steve's a good one too.
Yeah.
But we had to have 10, and there's a lot of people at the shop had opinions too. Also, a nice plug for the shop here. The new person showed up to play, and they received a mat, card sleeves, and a free card.
Well, yeah.
So show up
I
to
mean,
the
the
local
mat-
shop.
the mat
Who
and
knows what people will hook
The
you
mat
up
and the
with?
card sleeves were from us.
Yeah, but they still
his
got
point
some.
is
And a
because they were
Swiftfoot
at the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they came to the
You
shop.
never
that's
know what
happened.
you'll get free. One time I was there and someone gave me an entire box for free. You remember that?
Yeah.
When
It
I
wasn't
was
just
new to
you,
the
it was
game?
us. We got a
I
box.
was new to the
But,
game.
The second thing I will point out too is because of the game changers, I guarantee you that is part of the reason why some of the cards dipped in decks, i.e. Jessica's Will, because less people want to play them because now game changers, so they can't put them in certain decks.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's down
Maybe.
at 17%, I feel like could have been contributed to that potentially. But
Could be.
that was the two things I thought of after we left. But I'm sad. Swiftfoot Boots to me has always been a staple of Commander. It's always been one of those cards I feel like it's always good because it's always nice to protect your Commander. It's cheap.
But
it's
what's
quick,
done is
haste,
done. It didn't
so-
make it.
You know,
But Ristic definitely shouldn't make it though.
oh no, it's definitely, it was overwhelmingly agreed that
That's
it
fine.
should.
I would put Sad Robot in Ristic spot then for sure. I would
Yes.
change that out so
Yes,
quick.
but you can't because all 10 are full.
No, I absolutely can. I'm the one that wrote down the list. Did you write down the list?
They're not in this top 10.
I did write down a list in that top 10, and I can simply just scratch it off and say Sad Robot.
Yeah, but I'm the one who puts it on the internet. Guess what? That lasts forever. Anyway,
Yes, and everything
So
that's on the internet is true.
the
And
re-
I'm a French model, Bonjour.
real quick. So the new Secret Lair came out for SpongeBob. Hate it, love it, whatever. It was newsworthy. There was some other a lot of Secret Lairs that came out at the same time. They had bundles on there for like $2,000 for a bundle.
No, not like $2,000. $2,000.
Well, no, it was $1,999.
Right.
That's like $2,000. Again,
Well,
math is
okay.
not his strong
Okay.
suit.
We're having one of
All
these
right.
episodes today,
Good
I guess.
grief.
Huh?
Anyway, so I do not want to play with SpongeBob cards. However, I did see that maybe these might be worth something someday. So I was going to go on and buy one foil to put away.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to have.
And I actually forgot. And at 12:06, I looked at my watch and I go, oh no. And I ran to my computer and jumped on. So I was on there. I just leave it up as my day goes on and I just kind of look at it. And like 30 minutes in, 40 minutes in, something like that, the guy stops moving and the line is paused.
That's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign. Meanwhile, Bryce had been on since the very beginning. He didn't show up late, unlike the last time when he was a little bit late. I mean, like talking 45 seconds or a minute, maybe at most.
Yeah, Marvel was big, though.
Yeah. And he said his, like mine, started at over an hour because anything over an hour, that's all you get. It just says over an hour. And would go down to like 50 minutes and then go back to over an hour again. So he's like, somebody's using the cheat. Somebody's using the cheat. So I actually had somebody else, just for science purposes, not to try and actually get it, try the cheat. It didn't work. So that wasn't the issue.
Okay.
The link that went there did not work. So we don't know what caused all this, but he kept getting down and then it would bounce back up and then the line got paused.
But we're going to have time to hear from other people on what they experienced, so it's not just one
right.
example.
The
We
line
just
was
don't have that yet.
paused this time though for over 3 hours.
Wow.
And when it was paused, at one point you could not reach the Secret Lair site. It came up like with this, not a 404 error, but one of those type of screens where it's like white with black lettering, basically says, we don't know what site you're talking about.
Nice.
And then another time it was up, and they actually had it up, and people could add things to the cart and jump in this queue that was sitting still.
Huh.
Now, during that time, there were some wild accusations. People were claiming that they were out of things, that they weren't. People were claiming that they had checked out within 18 minutes of getting on once they brought the site back up that they weren't in before. And I don't know if that second one's true or not, but I have my doubts that that's true. But whatever is true.
Right, and like they showed a screenshot, but you can change
he did.
screenshots.
There
easily.
were screenshots posted, and that's where I saw.
Right, but you can
You can doctor
change those,
It's
yeah.
not, and then they put it in maintenance mode. So they put the site. The queue was still on hold, but if you went to the Secret Lair site, it was in maintenance mode. It said we're still getting things ready. Stay tuned. And then they announced that at 4:00 our time, which is 1:00 Pacific time when they keep track, that they were going to reopen it. It was not exactly, but it was within a minute of that time that started back up. And then it went more smoothly and people checked out, and it wasn't that bad. I got through an hour after that.
Okay.
So how long total for you?
For me, I mean, from start to finish,
Yeah.
5 hours and probably 5 hours because it was 6 after when I jumped on.
Is that the basic details of what happened then?
Yeah, so that's what we know.
So it's unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. Though I cannot believe another business would treat its customers like this. Look, companies rate themselves typically by something called, like a lot of times by something called an NPS score. It's a net promoter score. You know, when you go buy a sandwich or something at Chick-fil-A, they ask you afterwards, how likely would you be to refer Chick-fil-A to someone else, to a friend or family member? And you cannot continue to treat customers like this. Normally, if we're sitting around a table of people and like this is the second week in a row, I think I've been negative towards Magic or had something constructive to say, constructive criticism, which is what this is because I love the product and I really enjoy the company. I think it does a lot of really good things, but this is absolutely unacceptable. If someone there is not getting involved to change this experience, then I'm kind of getting to the point where it's like, I have to decide whether I'm going to be someone who wants product or has character because I don't want to support this. People waiting 5 hours means that a lot of people who wanted to buy this couldn't because they can't sit in front of their computer for 5 hours.
Oh, there was a lot of people posting so this time X.com did a little better, I guess you could say, but they said like a half an hour after the line was paused, they announced it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there was comments being made there that I was looking at, and people were like, well, thanks a lot because this was scheduled to go out when I was on my lunch break, so I thought I could get it. But
right.
I can't stay on here all day. I've got to go back to work. I'm not going to get it now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm being very serious. I'm actually aggro Jeff about this. Magic has to understand, Hasbro, you cannot do this to your customer base. You will lose your customer base really fast if you can continue to treat your customers like this. It's so unacceptable.
I mean, every step of the way, they have not done a good job at what they said they were going to do. When they said, okay, we're going to do print on demand, then it was like, okay, well, sure, we'll print on demand. Do you mind waiting over a year for your cards?
I mean,
so it's like,
if
no,
they tell
I shouldn't
me
have to wait over a year. But
I would be more apt to wait a year than what's going on right now.
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah.
Because at least
I'd know I'm buying something for the future. I don't need it right now.
But that makes the value of their thing. If they print on demand, the value isn't going to be there, and so the whales won't want it as much.
I know, but you can't. 5 hours is
no, and I'm not saying you cater to the whales. I think you could do that.
There is also a system where you pay. They have to pay more. Buy a better system to order from that doesn't have these problems. Yes, it will cost you more money for the infrastructure, but you got to do better.
You know what's funny though?
So unacceptable.
You know what the name of the company is that they go through? Scale fast.
Oh,
scale slow. Scale slow.
Well, to be fair, they might have told them we can't handle the type of this is how many. What do they call it? Concurrent users that we can handle at one given time, and if you exceed this, it won't work.
Right, but that's why they came out with the queue.
Have the right
Remember, before the queue is when it would just crash and then nothing. Right. And so then they came out with the queue. And that's not working. Something's happening there, I think.
Well, it's too many people.
I think we're going to find out people found another workaround.
It's possible, but whatever you're doing, you need to buy a better system or pay more or do something. You can't keep doing this.
Well, and then there's the thing with the Soul Ring, right?
Oh, yeah. That was.
So
I'm going to get even more aggravated.
So last time they said, hey, look at this cool Soul Ring. If you spend over $150, you'll get one for every $150. So Jeff and I, you got one?
Yeah, I only bought one because I was like, I don't know what this is going to be worth.
And they had those available the whole month. Like they didn't go away until this thing came out almost. I mean, they were not limited at all. I think they were printing those on demand.
Yeah, and they're worth almost nothing. I think.
They're worth about the same as a normal Soul Ring. You know, they're worth like $2, I think.
Maybe even not even that.
So this time it was Deadeye Navigator. I did not get excited about it, but I'm hoping it'll be worth something. But even at my 5 hour mark, I still was able to get it. We'll see.
Deadeye Navigator used to be a great card. I mean, it's still a good card, but it used to be like a staple.
We'll see. But it's just like everything they do with Secret Lair, it's not done well. You were just complaining that they don't tell us Like, why don't they give us better cards? How do
Right.
they pick the cards?
Right.
You know what I mean? Other people have complained, okay, if you're going to make them limited run, fine, serialize them. Make them worth more. Say, hey, we only printed, 10,000. This is one of 10,000, and, whatever.
Yeah.
Tell us. But
And
no.
my problem is not that it's limited. That's fine. It first come, first serve, but it's the 5 hours. You have to have a system that can process the orders faster.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. And if you're like, well, it's really hard to do. I'm sorry, as a gigantic corporation, what you're trying to do is really hard. But if you can't do it well, don't do it.
Right.
It's really that simple. Either do, and you should have that mentality for your organization. If you can't do it well, don't do it. Because could you guys imagine treating our customers that way? It's wild.
Yep. I mean, it's
And your product's great. Just deliver it better.
yeah. People are excited about it.
Yeah.
That's the reason it's a problem. Make it easy for them. Don't make it difficult. Have multiple. Maybe you need multiple companies, and after one fills up, another company starts handling the load.
I mean, that could be. I don't know how. You could say we're doing 3 separate releases of this. Maybe that would lessen demand. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Why do they release it all 1 week?
I don't know.
Because here's the funny thing. It wasn't SpongeBob that sold out first. Now, first the
Oh,
big
they do
bundles.
that because they want a bundle.
Yeah.
That's why they do it.
Yeah.
But you could release the bundles and then sell the singles separately another
Yeah,
week.
you could have a different week that you do the singles.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get the bundle. I got a second chance.
Yeah. That
know?
would make a complete
Yeah.
sense.
So the
and
big-
then you get the whales all to be the first ones that buy. It'd probably make them buy more.
So the bundles that had the foil that had like everything in them, those sold out first. But the first individual thing that sold out was the Tragic Romance, I think it was
Which
called.
I'm going to regret I didn't buy that because I love my Call
The
You Dead.
foil one of that sold out first. So when I was checking out, I saw that and I got the non-foil.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked after that and that was gone. So I
Yeah.
was the first one to sell out. And I think right before he went on air, one of the SpongeBob bundles had sold out. So it did finally sell out. But, it wasn't, like Jeff told me before we went on air, it probably wasn't that the Tragic Romance was necessarily more popular as it was that they probably didn't have as many printed.
Right. So when people are buying the bundles, it sold out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's just a mess. They got to do something.
Johnny, I know you don't buy these necessarily, so
Mm-hmm.
you're maybe less engaged, but what do you think about what Duncan and I are saying here?
So from my perspective, this is something that you experience in the video game world whenever a game launches, right? So when a game launches, they have servers that are set up to support what they assume is going to be the player base. So let's say hypothetically, I'm going to use Helldivers 2, which was a game that came out last year. They set up a server to have 15,000 active players launching weekend. They had 500,000 active players, and it crashed their servers constantly. What they did was they went and bought bigger and better servers that weekend, got them set up so that way the launch of the game was Friday. By Sunday, every active person who bought the game could play at the same time.
But I guarantee you,
So
the traffic on this was at least comparable to Marvel Secret Lair. Maybe Marvel Secret Lair was bigger, or maybe
no,
this
I
was
think
bigger,
this was
but
probably
it's
bigger.
But my point is that it's very clearly a back end issue on their side. If this is something that keeps happening where they're having large queues and the website's pausing or crashing and resetting and things are happening, it is very much on their side and probably on their server side. It is, from my understanding, at least from the video game world, it is not a very complicated fix. It is not something that takes 15 rocket scientists to figure out. It's very simple of we just need to have a better server to support the people who are trying to log into our website and order this product. That's it. That's all it is. It's not super complicated.
But that's a
And-
software that's native, right? So like I think their problem is whoever they're hiring is
Right,
not
but-
able to
Scale
support. Right.
Right,
scale
but
fast.
and that's
You
my
hire a
point.
bigger
Is
company.
exactly, and that's all it is. And
Yeah.
it simply comes down to the fact that it's happened again on another secret layer within 6 months or something like that. We're at
Yeah.
Marvel, right? It just shows that, like you said, it's almost like they're saying we actually don't care if it affects you guys trying to purchase this product.
Right. They're choosing and that's
At
a
least
great
it feels like, I think what you're about to say, this is what they're choosing over serving their customers. They're choosing their
Saving
pocket. Yeah, they're choosing their side of it instead of the customer's
Which
side.
is a really good point, and that gets back to sort of what we've talked about this whole thing is that, look, I don't mind companies making money. That's what we do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make money, and you should be trying to make as much money for them, for their stockholders. That's their job. But there is a balance where you have to understand delivering a great experience to your customers, and that is not delivering a great experience. And it feels more and more like it's a money grab.
Right.
And it's fine that you're making money, but when it starts to feel like your customers that it's a money grab, I'm telling you right now, you guys are going to be in big trouble because eventually you're going to have to pay the piper on these decisions.
Right, and I think ultimately what it comes down to is, at least from the standpoint of where we're sitting on this side of it, is at some point trying to focus on making money for your stockholders will mean that you will start losing money because you are going, like Jeff is saying and Duncan is saying, you are going to lose people who love this game that can no longer put up with the shenanigans that you're dealing with.
I mean, if I'm saying that now, like I've talked before about not loving the gambling part of it, but if I'm saying right now, like I'm at a point where I might not buy Secret Lair because I'm not supporting this type of customer experience, I mean, that's pretty hard to get me there. I mean,
it takes a lot of pushing to get there for sure. So I do think,
please do better.
yeah, I think that it's a very, at least from the limited knowledge I have from the video game side world of something similar happening, it is simply a decision that they need to make of, we need to get someone to run and manage our Secret Lair website that can handle the influx of demand that is going to happen every single time we drop these things. Because if it's like this for Spider-Man, I mean, it might take 12 hours to get Spider-Man. Like, it could be horrendous because I guarantee you there will not be a more popular Secret Lair than Spider-Man. Like, he is like the guy. Like, people love I mean, my wife loves Spider-Man and she knows nothing about comics.
And I'm going to tell you right now, what they're going to hear at Wizards, what they're going to hear at Hasbro is, we can't make the change that quick. Yes, you can. You can make the change that quick. You have to spend money to do it.
Well, here's the thing.
Just
What's
spend the
that
money.
quick? How long ago was Marvel Secret Lair?
Well, no, I'm saying now. I'm saying let's move past what happened. You're right. You're 100% right. They should have already done it. But now they got to do it before Spider-Man.
They
gotta
have
get
to do it
done.
before next month, whatever the next Marvel thing is.
Sure. Oh, that's next month, right? So they got to do it before. Well, I thought we don't know if it's Spider-Man.
No, Spider-Man is the next official Marvel
Set.
one that we have.
But there
we
will
know.
probably
Set.
be a Secret Lair backup like they normally
Yeah.
do.
Whatever the next Secret
Right.
Lair is, it's going to be a big hit.
Final
Figure it out
Fantasies
before that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy's before that. But
those
I
are
mean,
set releases. They got
Spider-Man
that-
is going to be way beyond that.
But
They
way
got that
beyond
more under control, the set releases, because they're, from what I can tell, they're pretty good at the delivery product.
there
at
are
this point.
occasional sets they have issues, but overall
They're pretty good,
much
yeah,
got it.
because they have experience with it.
The problems come from distributors holding on to things. But anyway,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the new Secret Lair debacle. We'll see what comes of it, what they say caused it, if there was hacks or cheats or whatever. We'll see. But they have to fix this, whatever they gotta do. But anyway, let's talk about our main topic. So I've been kind of vague about what I am putting out there, but the format is changing. And it's changing in ways that people don't realize, and it's slowing it down and making it more casual. What are the brackets doing?
It's a very psychological effect to that. It's slowing it down
Yes.
and making it more. If you didn't believe the words I am saying, mirror my voice.
Hey, shh! Don't say
Leave
the
the
thing out loud.
cadence.
Yeah,
But anyway,
don't say the quiet things out loud. Yeah.
so the brackets aren't made to slow the game down, but they're made to point out what speeds it up, right? What are the
Yeah.
things that speed it up?
Yeah.
The initial bannings that happened with the old committee when they banned the 3 cards that everybody got upset about and Nadu, which everybody agreed on, Mana Crypt, Dockside, and Jeweled Lotus.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But also
but those
resurrect.
were designed to slow the game down, and guess what? It did.
Yeah.
And the game changers, people are saying, you know what? I only want to play at a 3, so I'm not going to put all these game changers in here. Agree with the list, disagree with the list. It's a beta. We're testing it. Don't get so hung up on what's on the list. But the point is they're trying. They're trying to focus in on these
And
games.
it's working.
Yeah. But if you look at what a lot of these cards have in common, they speed up the game.
That's right.
They ramp it up to a more higher power level.
And quick, because they're typically low mana costs.
Yeah. So this is the trend that I see happening, and I don't even think most people realize it. I think everybody thinks, oh, the power creep, and they're still talking about that. And
I think you're probably right, but those of us who believed this is what casual Magic always should have been, it's a breath of fresh air for us.
yeah.
But there are people out there that we enjoy playing with that don't think that this is what casual Magic is.
And for me, I like playing high power, but
Yep.
I don't want to play that all the time.
Well, in this way, it lets you define when you're in high power and less high power. Now, we both know, everybody at this table knows that you can still pub stomp if you want, because you can make a 2 that is not a 2.
Right.
But separate from that, it's pretty good at what it does.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think, when you look at the game changers that they selected, I would say, the definition that they're using for game changer seems to be pretty consistent throughout that entirety of the list. With when these things are hitting, they are effectively changing the game in that moment when they are coming out and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I do see that, and I will say too that if you look at some of the more recent sets, there hasn't been as many cards that people are like, all right, well, now this is an auto-include, this is an auto-include, this is an auto-include. That has been getting scaled back a lot, and I don't think it's getting scaled back to a point of where it's, damaging, Commander. I think it's just going back to a point of a little bit more normality. Like these, kind of to your point, we don't need a new mechanic every single set. It's not required.
Oh, they're still going to do
Well,
it.
I know they're going to do it, but my point is we don't need 15 cards that are game-breaking cards. We don't need that. We don't need to keep making these cards that keep breaking the format and need to keep getting banned over and over and over again.
But I think even if they are doing that, there have been some cards that are definitely. I think there's cards they're making now that could end up in the game changers list.
I do think
they may
so.
still be game.
But
So for
I agree with that.
They're slowing down on the release of those, is what you guys are saying.
Yeah,
Which
they're
I
not
agree with
making
that
as
too.
many per set. I felt like before it was there was multiple cards in a set. You're like it's hard for me to argue not to buy these and put these in every single deck that's those colors.
Well, and they targeted Commander a lot, right? The Commander deck would just have crazy cards in it, because they knew it was just for Commander. Oh, we can drop these crazy things in Commander.
Remember the
It can
first time
handle
they
it.
came out with
It's good in my head.
Remember the first time they came out with the token tripler or the damage tripler?
Yeah.
It's
No,
wait,
they
what,
had
tripler?
multiple of them, Yeah.
Yeah.
No, tripler? Are you now
Or
they have
mana
multiple.
tripler?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, and now it's common, not common, but I mean, there's a few of them. But the point is that those moments are going to happen less and less. Let's look at the next set coming up, Dragons of Tarkir, right?
Well, Mox
What's-
Jasper.
Okay, that's the one.
Well, and Draco Genesis or whatever it's
But
called.
that is a very specific niche card.
So is Mox Jasper, because you can pretty much
but
only
both
play
of those
it
are
in
very
dragons.
specific niche. So it's going to ramp up the dragon decks, both of those.
But
Right.
again, it makes sense. It's a dragon set.
And
Like-
it's and
like
it's
that's
still
what it
Kindred.
should do.
It's still Kindred, so you're ramping up a Kindred deck. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a. That's the other thing that you've seen them do more is focus on, you could call it battle cruiser magic. The idea that we're not going to support a whole bunch of combo. We're going to support battle cruiser magic.
Right.
Put your creature out and attack.
That's the thing. So the one gives you a ton of mana, the other one makes them free. But regardless, in the end of the day, there are Kindred board wipes.
Yeah.
So you go ahead, fill your board. Okay, on my turn, I'll wipe them out.
Yeah.
Just yours. Just yours.
Board
Yeah.
wipes are a real thing.
Yeah.
And
I
for
mean,
artifacts too, there are board wipes. Good.
yeah.
Good grief.
And I will say too, the other thing is that it seems like a lot of these other cards too that are, kind of like big baddies. For example, the damage tripler, Twin Tyrant, I think its name is, or Twin Flame Tyrant, the dragon that came out. It's 6 or 7 mana. So at least they're doing that too, to where the in-game cost of it is more expensive, and they're making it okay. This is probably going to be closer to an end game closer than it is beginning of game, because Underworld Breach is like what, 4 mana, and it gives every.
No, it's 2 mana.
It's 2 mana, and it gives everything. It's like, that's silly. That should not be a 2 mana card. Like that should cost you more to end the game.
A really good example is like, wasn't it the Dungeons and Dragons set where the dragons in that were all like crazy broken? Like still today, they're some of the best dragons in the entire game.
Yeah, the ancient
and
ones.
we have a dragon set coming out, and I don't know if there's a single dragon. There might be. I don't know everything in the set, but there's certainly not that many amazing dragons. I don't even know if there's one dragon better than the top 3 of those dragons.
Yeah.
And that does talk about what you guys are talking about, which is it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. Universes Beyond. Mm-hmm. It used to be every time a Universes Beyond set came out, you knew there was going to be high power stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what do they call it when it's a Masters set or Legends set? Those also typically were nuts.
Well, we haven't had a new Masters or Legends set recently, but we have had Universes Beyond, and they have been kind of more even, less crazy,
I guess we'll see the next. Is there a Legends or Master set coming out this year? No. So that in itself speaks to a stalling of power.
Yeah. So, I think with all the cards we've seen released for Final Fantasy, none of those commanders seem crazy broken.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they're not.
The Spider-Man cards that came out, none of those seem crazy broken.
Right.
Nope.
Again, none of them were crazy overpowered or, again, game changing in the way what they're adding to the format. So
even the Marvel ones, they can do crazy things, but they're not like you can deal with them. It wasn't like Nadu where it was like out of control the moment it was printed.
No.
It's like Wolverine, it can take out one player very quickly, but then that player is now arch enemy.
Yeah, but it just dies to a sword to plowshares.
Yeah.
Like remember that game where I just kept doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are easy ways to deal with it.
Yeah, and
it's one creature.
Storm can do some crazy Storm stuff, but you got to get there.
Yeah.
You also have to have Storm.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these things, it's like, you want to do your thing? Well, you need your commander. Oops.
Yeah.
Oubliette. Like, there it goes.
Oko.
Yeah.
But
That's a great card.
That's a horrible card.
So my prediction is you're going to see this trend, and you're going to see less of those wildly powerful cards. I think we'll have another year. You might see. So we had the Dragon Storm thing, whatever, the one that lets you get them for free, and the Mox Jasper that, it's the crazy mana rock. But
Debatable how good that will be, but we'll see.
We'll see. But I think give it a year. Those are going to be like maybe once a year you'll see a card like that. I think so. That's my prediction.
Well, I don't even think they're that powerful.
Well, they're
that's
nichely
sort of the
powerful,
point.
but I think you're gonna see more like maybe a new
So
thing
with-
that does something similar. But
So with Mox Jasper, right, you have to have a dragon out. Yeah, I know you could build it with low-cost dragons, but most dragon decks don't have those because they're typically not very good. So you get out your 6-drop dragon, which is sort of where they start 5 and 6. At that point, you have one more mana. Oh, okay. At that point, you're already at your curve. You just put a land down. You're already at 6. You're curving out the rest of your dragons. You're fine. You don't need Mox Amber. It's like a little bit more.
Jasper.
Mox Jasper. Mox Amber is good. That's the one that you just have to have a legend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's nuts.
I find it overrated. But anyway, so I don't think that many people are talking about this out loud, about this trend and about these things that we're seeing. And I think it's a good change.
But in the quiet places where the lady from 7-Eleven touches your monster drink inappropriately, that's where they're
Yes.
talking about.
Show us on the doll where she touched your monster drink.
Right here.
Jeez Louise.
But
I mean, I definitely think that they have scaled back. I agree with that. I think that they're probably doing it because maybe what they're trying to do is focus on maybe helping out the bracket system a little bit in that sense, meaning
I think it's the other way around.
Well, I guess it's you got to give some to get some, right? So I think by the bracket system coming out and them making this game changers list, and I do think that they will stick with that. I don't think that will change from this beta. I think that will be solid. I think the brackets will change. I think the brackets will change. I think maybe we'll get more definitive clarification on some of the brackets. Maybe we'll get an extra bracket or I don't know, maybe we'll drop one. I don't know. But I know that I think the brackets will change, but I do think that the Game Changers list is probably here to stay. And it's kind of that pseudo-casual ban list that we brought up a year ago or a year and a half ago, whatever it was. And so I think as part of that is they are trying to make sure like we don't just make entire sets that feel like they have to go on there, right? Like it helps them out. It makes it easier for them if they don't have to work, if they don't have to be like, okay, well, all of these cards have to go on Game Changer now, and now all of these cards have to like. So I think a little bit of it is maybe that, and then because of that, then it helps the bracket system get more life. So I think it's kind of a
Jeff, you just had a thought.
circular.
Yeah,
The light bulb literally was above your head.
Could they bracket commanders as commanders? Meaning that card's fine in the 99, but if you put it as your commander, it's one of the game
I don't
changers.
think they want to. I think it's the same thing when they used to have banned as commander.
But I'm telling you,
I don't
that
think
would
they
be
like it.
awesome. It would be awesome and so easy to do.
Because of this slowing down, it's like, okay, now we've slowed it down. Now we can talk about unbanning things.
Yes, which they should do.
Which they're talking about doing. You know, so
Which they're supposed to be announcing something next month, I think. They said
right? If there were going to be any, that's where
But
you
they're
should start
definitely not
looking.
going to unban Jeweled Lotus and
That shouldn't be unbanned.
they shouldn't unban Jeweled Lotus
It
and they
should
shouldn't
never be
unban
Nadu.
And no one's arguing for
and,
Nadu. Nadu's a piece of trash. He shouldn't have existed.
And why can't I think of it?
You're talking about Dockside.
No, yeah, they shouldn't unban that or the other one, but
Man,
only
okay.
because I want to buy them for less money.
And then they can unban.
Then they can unban them.
Yeah, no.
After I buy them.
You better buy them now because I do think
Pulling a
soon,
real secret layer
They're still
Hasbro
like-
over here.
They're still like $90, dude.
So they
That's
went
wild.
back up.
They went
to-
back up.
when they
Yeah.
announced that there could be
They
unbans.
went down to like 50.
Yeah,
But you had to be really brave if you bought then. Good for you.
but
Well, maybe not, because if they don't unban it, then you just have.
I mean, when they
useless
first hit,
cards.
some of them were 20 and 40. I mean, it was
Yeah, I did
Wow.
see. I will say on one of the Facebook groups I follow, a guy was selling his. He was selling them as sets of 3. So he was selling a Dockside, a Mana Crypt, and a Jeweled Lotus for $50.
should have bought them.
all 3 for 50?
Yeah, all 3. Because
That's
he's
wild.
like he was so pissed. He's like, I can't believe I spent all this money. I just give me. He's like $50. I'll give you. And he had like 15 of them, like
Wow.
of 3s.
But so anyway,
So
this is what's I believe is happening. This is what the overall way that the game seems to be going, and it's benefiting us. We might get some unbans. We're going to expand on the Game Changers list, get it figured out so that it's actually a good list with everything that should be on it and not too many things that shouldn't. I'm sure there'll be some that people argue about. You're never not going to have that.
right.
But I think it's good for the format. I think it's good for Magic. I think it's good for player mental health, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, again, I'm not mad at the bracket system. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it is kind of what they've always wanted, which is Commander to be casual. They've always kind of hinted at that. They've always kind of wanted it. And most people who, most podcasts that are out there that do Commander gameplay and Commander stuff, that's kind of always their underlying tone of if they're doing help deck techs where they help you build a deck, or they like everything is very pointed towards more casual play than it is anything else.
Right.
So
That
yeah.
is there is CEDH and there is casual EDH.
Yeah.
And we need to keep that line there and not have as much blurring.
Yeah.
But anyway, how about pro tips this week? You got any?
I got some pro tips for you. So I thought it'd be fun to go over something that kind of is a theme that I feel like is going to be popular with you two, which is casting from the graveyard. So these are terms and these are ways that you can cast from the graveyard that are directly printed onto the card. So the first one is probably the most notorious flashback. So flashback's pretty straightforward and simple. I have the examples here, so I'm going to save the card. Hopefully Duncan doesn't troll me and put a different card up. So Artful Dodge is the first one I have. It's a blue sorcery. Target creature is unblockable this turn, and then flashback is 1 blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback, then exile it. So pretty straightforward. You want to cast from your graveyard, just pay its flashback cost, boom, you can cast it. The next one is going to be Jumpstart. This one came into print because of the Jumpstart sets, and then it
I don't even think I've seen this one.
this is one that is a little more niche. You don't see it as much because I think part of it is because of the way you have to cast it. So Jumpstart is you can cast this card from by discarding a card, then paying its other cost, then exiling it. So you have to give up a card in your hand in order to do it. So I think this one is a little less popular because of that. And the card that has that on there is Radical Idea. Again, it's another blue card, one of the blue instant, draw a card, and then Jumpstart. You may cast this card from your graveyard, discarding and then paying its other costs.
Yep.
So that's your second way. Third way is Aftermath. Now this one is probably my favorite just because of the way you technically say the card. So with Aftermath cards, they actually have the cards printed 2 cards on 1 card, and one is horizontal facing you like normal, and then the Aftermath one is technically you turn it sideways and then it's sideways. Well, the reason why they're cool is because the way you say them is blank to blank. So for example, the one I have here is commit to memory. So commit is this way, memory is this way.
Oh, I know.
And the way you say that card is commit and then to memory, and memory is the Aftermath part. The only way you can cast Aftermath is it has to be in your graveyard. So you have to get that card. So normally what you do is you cast the commit part, and then when it's in your graveyard, you do Aftermath, which is cast this card.
And it specifically actually says you have to have cast the first part.
It doesn't say you have to have cast the first part. It just says you can only cast the second part from your graveyard.
Okay.
Because technically it is a full-on card, as you'll see behind me.
To your graveyard.
Right. And so Aftermath, cast this spell only from your graveyard, then exile it. So again, working much like the first two, has to be exiled after you use it. The next one, which is another cool one that, from my memory, there are 2 Titans and only 2 Titans that have this on them, which Jeff built one of the decks.
And you got the
and
other.
I got the other one.
Right, and then there's a card I think that gives all the cards in your
Correct.
graveyards.
So Underworld Breach is the one that gives everything escape, is what this is. So you may cast this card for its escape cost from your graveyard. So Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger, is the one that I'm referring to. And this guy is black, black, red, red. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard, and then you can cast them from your graveyard. Now, the cool thing about escape is most of the escape cards say if you cast this from anywhere else, sacrifice it. So you can... The whole point is if you didn't cast it from your graveyard, you can't leave it on the field.
It's almost like you did it wrong.
Right, exactly.
You're not
so it forces you to put it into your graveyard if you don't actually cast it via escape, basically. And Euro's the other one. It does the same thing, but its ability is a little different, but same concept.
And if the difference with this one with the other ones is this one does not exile.
Correct, because a lot of times this one is going to be actually on permanence. So this one a lot of times will stay on the field, which is what both Kroxa and Euro
you
are.
exile the cards from your graveyard.
Right, you exile the cards in order to cast it, which is part of the casting cost,
Right.
as mentioned. So the next one is Retrace. This is another ability that's kind of fallen by the wayside, and I think the main reason why is the way you have to cast it is you may cast from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. And for this one, I picked Flame Jab, which is a red card, and just a sorcery, 1 red. Flame Jab deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Retrace is printed right on it. So the last thing I have on here, which is a bonus question, I'm going to ask Duncan and Jeff here. There is another ability called Madness. Now, my question is, does Madness fall under the cast from your graveyard category?
I don't think so because you're casting it as you discard. So I would say no.
What is your guess?
It says when you discard, you pay this amount. So you do discard it, right? So that goes to your graveyard. So I'm going to say it is from your graveyard, sort of.
So you are, unfortunately, Jeff is wrong. You actually technically are also wrong, but you're right in the sense that it is not from your graveyard. Madness is specifically, if you discard this, you may discard it to exile and then cast it. So you are actually casting it from exile instead, but you can only do the madness as part of the discard. Yeah, which is, that's the tricky part because a lot of people think, oh, I'm discarding it, I cast it, it's coming back. But madness is the only one that specifically says you have to be discarding it in order to cast it for its madness cost. And if you do so, you are actually technically casting it from exile because you must discard it to exile instead, and then you may cast it for its discard or put it into your graveyard.
Very cool.
So those are a couple different ways. Those are 5 different ways that are built into the mechanics of the game in order to cast it via from your graveyard.
Commanders that cheat, like
Right, and there's
Muldrotha
of course there's those guys too, but I wanted to talk
there's
about
graveyard
keywords.
decks.
Yeah, and I want to talk about keywords that specifically are
Right.
built into the cards that do it. There are a couple of creatures like Muldrotha that let you do other cards from your graveyard. There's even a guy, there's a blue, I can't remember his name. He's actually in a deck I just built. He's a Prowler where he says you can cast him from your graveyard. It just
Right, and
It
there's
just-
other things that have a
Is a
specific
Prowler-
casting cost.
it's something
Similar to a
Prowler.
creeper.
There's
Does he have a trench coat in the picture?
no, he's actually shirtless. I don't know if that's better or worse.
Whoa,
But
that's
anyway,
creepy.
so those are all very cool.
Yeah, so those
Yeah.
are 5 keywords that allow you to cast
Yep.
from the graveyard, and then
Some
one
of them
bonus
more
one.
common than others.
Yeah, I mean, you will probably never come across Jumpstart or Retrace. Those are very far and few between, but cool different ways to cast from your graveyard, which I thought was pretty on theme since both of you guys just built zombie decks
Yep.
and are very recursion heavy. So
Yeah,
Yep. Mine isn't so recursion heavy.
mine isn't either.
Which yours
It has
should be
some.
because you're discard, but more. But
It's really I just want to draw.
yeah.
that's what everyone wants to do.
But
That's why I built the deck because I already want to do the thing. I might as well, build.
before
the deck
we
if I
wrap
want
things
to.
up, so we have our contest going on, giving away the Marvel Secret Lair along with some other stuff. It's the Marvel Secret Lair foil edition. We're at 64 subscribers this morning, so well
Nice.
over the target.
We did it.
Um,
You guys did it, actually.
we had
Y'all
a bit,
did
we
it.
got a good jump last
Now
week.
we just got to
If we
do
can
like
keep
another
having that the
900.
next couple weeks, we'll be.
Well,
What's
technically,
next week is the last week.
this is this when you're hearing this, you're hearing it on the final.
Yeah, this is only
Yeah,
4
this
days
is-
before the draw.
Yeah, this is for so when you are listening to this episode, we will be putting our grubby hands on top of monster drinks and drawing the names of the winners
Don't
for
do
the
that.
No,
for
we'll
the
be licking
contest.
top of them.
We'll be licking the top of the monster cans
Troglodytes.
and then pouring it into cups for Jeff and then letting him drink it.
Absolutely.
But no, we actually will be drawing. When you guys are listening to this, this is the day we're drawing the names and picking the people who will be winning. So next recording, so
We'll
the following
announce it.
Thursday.
After
That's
we'll
it.
also email them and
Yeah.
let them know. So
This
they'll know
is
before
this
that.
is the best for the value that's here. I don't know of another contest that
Yeah.
you have such a good chance. If you're not getting all your friends to be doing this, that's wild.
Yeah, and get them. Make sure they're sending us the email. And doing everything you're supposed to be doing.
Tell
'Cause
your wives,
we'll do
tell
it.
your sisters.
we're
tell your
gonna do it
brothers.
until
They're giving gifts to
midnight.
Everybody.
What's crazy is sometimes we'll go up in subscribers and not get a new entry. I mean,
Right.
that I don't understand.
Just-
But anyway,
Yeah.
They like us.
So midnight of basically tonight is when it finishes, and then we'll be doing the drawing
no.
of when you're listening, right?
Oh, when you're listening.
Yeah, of when you're listening. Not when we're recording it, when you're listening, which is Thursday.
Yeah.
Midnight of that night. So if you're
Yeah.
listening to this in the morning, make sure you get your entries in. You send them to cast@commanderpod.com.
Yep.
Boom.
With
Jeff,
the
suck it.
Subject
I
line
remembered it.
contest. Send us where you're subscribed. You get an entry for each one.
Why is that bothering me?
'Cause you messed it up
Patreon
last
subscribers
week.
get 3 entries automatically.
Duncan, we're trying to talk.
Yeah, I'm trying to get through this. So don't forget there is also the Tricky Terrain Collector Edition
Right.
sealed deck. There is the crossbody bag. There is the backpack. There is the T-shirt, which is an extra large, which I don't think I put on there. However, it is
That's a great sleeping shirt.
well, it's smaller than you would think because
Oh.
it's from Temu. I'll just be honest, and they tend to shrink. So, but that's the size.
And it
I
could
picked.
be made out of lead
Probably not.
or asbestos.
Probably not. But anyway,
Probably doesn't have asbestos, but no
and then there's
promise.
also the other secret layer, the Dungeons and Dragons, Adventures in Dungeons and Dragons one. So get your entries in. You still got some time, and that's all the time we have for this week. So thank you for joining us. If you'd like to email us cast@commanderspod.com. If you have any ideas, thoughts, questions, things you want us to talk about, whatever it is, or if you want, put it in your entry. If you want to support us at patreon.com/commanderspod. Of course, you can check us out at YouTube. If you're watching it, you will probably already do. And if you listen, then don't forget to check us out on YouTube. And guess this is the last time. I said I'd only do it through March, so
Thank you.
free Jingataxias.
Commander's Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Dungeons and Sloan guide the way in the world of EDH we play. So tune in, friends, let's fly and go. In the Commander's Pod, the love will show. From my decks to yours, we share the spark in this world of magic. We'll leave our mark.